This is the E-Commerce Edge podcast with your host, Jason Greenwood. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. I have another banger lined up for you today. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome Zane McIntyre, who's the CEO and co-founder of Commission Factory. Welcome, Zane.
Thank you for having me.
Mate, it's super cool to have you along for the ride today. And I built my entire career in e-commerce in the ANZ region, based in New Zealand. I'm actually currently here right now, just about ready to leave to go back to Mexico again. And look, I spent a ton of time in Australia. You're based in Sydney, and the e-commerce ecosystem in Australia is just so incredibly vibrant. I absolutely love it, and it seems you do too.
Oh, definitely. I think what kind of sets Australia apart from so many other countries is that we have such a large SME market. So you just got this large inventory of advertisers to choose from, or brands as well. And because we're not purely these marketplaces that we go shopping at, we actually do look online at where the best place to go is. And if you've been to Australia, you would know then we do have this tendency to have this like tall poppy syndrome. The moment somebody gets too big, we revolt against them. Maybe that's largely why Starbucks, I don't think, has done well in this country, because we support the small local coffee shops.
It is true. There definitely is, second maybe only to America. Australians are really proud of their country. They're really proud of their homegrown businesses. They're really proud of their homegrown manufacturers. They're really, just generally speaking, I find that Aussies are really proud of their country, and they really definitely more so even than Kiwis, I think, to support local businesses and people doing great things. And when it comes to the tall poppy syndrome, I think there's even less of that in Australia than there is in New Zealand. I think New Zealand is probably even more famous for tall poppy syndrome. And the reality is I see lots of Aussies doing big stuff on the international stage. I see Aussies building businesses, going to Silicon Valley, doing really great stuff. We look at Atlassian, we look at so many of the biggest tech companies in the world punching well above their weight, and tons of them come from Australia.
Yeah, that's right. I think just down the road is Canva. They're a great success story. They are. They really are. And so I think that they're a source of national pride as well, because they started off so small. They were competing with one of those incumbents that was so big, and they've done exceptionally well. And some wouldn't even recognize or know that Atlassian is an Australian company. And again, headquarters just down the road from where we are as well. Sydney's not a massive city, right? It's very condensed, but so it's probably not hard to say that, oh, they're just down the road. But yeah, no, those companies are certainly a source of national pride.
No question about it. And that's a really nice segue. How the heck did you get into this game of e-commerce? Now, if I look back across your career, graphic designer, then you got into affiliate marketing, AWIN Global, then for the last almost 13 and a half plus years, you've been the CEO and co-founder of Commission Factory, which is an affiliate marketing platform. We'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. But how did you even what drew you to this game of e-commerce in the first place?
Yeah, I guess looking back, so I was a graphic designer. That was my first career out of high school. And I was doing that for a number of years, and I think I always had aspirations to do my own thing, because I think I'm at this stage quite unemployable, because I steamroll a lot of things, and I'm very bullish when it comes to making decisions and what I want. So I started exploring like the world of digital and like what more do I want to do with myself apart from being a graphic designer. And it was just by chance that I saw there was a lady who's doing a talk about, it seemed, looking back now, it's quite spammy in terms of how it was presented. Make these big dollars at home and only working an hour a week or something like that. It was very spammy, but I still had to listen to what she had to say. And so it turned out what she was talking about was affiliate marketing. She's promoting other people's products in return for a commission. And I thought the concept is interesting, but I'm not going to pay for her $4,000 course because I don't think that. So I went and did my own research on affiliate marketing, what it is, how to get started with it, and then finding, let's say, a niche and starting a blog promoting certain products. And so I really started off my career on the side of being an affiliate. And so I did that for about 2 years. I was really successful with it. I did quit my job and I just did it full time, where I was writing a blog. It was more about like men's fashion. And it was men's fashion, men's underwear, because this is not long after the GFC. And the GFC usually see this interesting trend of, or the lipstick effect, as they call it, if you haven't heard of it, but buying smaller, high ticket items because it makes you feel good because you can't spend a lot of money on anything else. And I found that it wasn't just lipstick, it was also men's underwear. Guys were buying designer underwear for themselves because they couldn't afford much else. So as long as they felt good about themselves, they were buying underwear. And so I exploited that at the time, and I made really decent commissions. So I was I was 22, 23 at the time, and I was earning about $8,000 a month, which was Australian dollars, and that was way more than I was earning as a graphic designer just in commissions. And so it did really well. And but then you have Google who keeps making changes to the SERPs and that sort of thing. And so I thought, now Google's become my new boss. And because they're dictating what I can and can't do and how successful I can be. And so it was actually with two other partners that, or well, they're friends at the time, and we were talking about affiliate marketing. Some of them were dabbling in it too, and we said, what if we just take ourselves out of that and we become the middleman and become an affiliate network, or start working on that? Not that affiliate networks in Australia didn't exist, but they just weren't. They hadn't changed much in many years now, and they didn't really have a great deal of competition. But between the three of us who started the company, I had the design skills, so I could make it pretty. And then we had another one who was a programmer. He could make it work. And then the other one, he had more experience in sales, so he could sell it. So we had this
Wow.
holy trinity of skills internally that we could build this thing. And we did. We within 6 months, we built and launched Commission Factory, and we had a budget of $5,000.
Wow. So the traditional bootstrap story, three mates putting their skills together, the trifecta of talent and skills and ability that you need really to get a startup off the ground. You had it, you brought it together, you brought it to market, and you put your name and your
Mhm.
cash on the line and went hammer and tongs at it until you made it happen.
Exactly, exactly. And we didn't make it easy for ourselves either, because we set a launch date and we announced it and we were telling people about it. And so we're like, this has to launch on the day. Otherwise, we're going to trip up before we've even started. And so setting that date, oh God, the amount of late nights and the pressure we put on ourselves to get an entire network built and designed in that time. I look back and I think, how the hell did we do that? But we did. And yeah, it was, what was it? July 7th, 2013 is when we launched it. Yeah. So I think that's it. Yeah.
Wow, and I realized that you guys had made a big splash in region when I started seeing you guys come up as a default connector in all of the major PIM and omni-channel platforms in region. So Omnivore, Commerce, Channel Advisor. Like when I started seeing you guys pop up as an out-of-the-box connector with lots of these other third-party technologies, I was like, okay, these guys have clearly created something that's got legs, because if everybody else wants to work with you, you've done something special.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's also, we made it accessible to a lot more as well, recognizing Australia wasn't just these large enterprise brands. We also had the SME market here that equally needs some attention. And so our ethos back when we launched, and even today, was simple by design and deep by choice. Present it simply so that people can feel like this is something I can do as a brand, because we knew that we were dealing with a lot of owners as well who just started their Shopify store, but knowing that the complexity and the functionality was all there, but it generally was scaled as your knowledge scales of the channel or of our software as well. So I think by making it accessible to so many really worked in our favor. And we also knew what we were up against in terms of our competitors. We knew that they had good tech, but it felt like you needed some sort of a computer science degree to actually operate an affiliate program. And so we wanted to make it really accessible to people. And so I think that's what really helped us in the beginning.
Totally. And I guess, is that part of the genesis of what made you think that this was a gap we could fill? So maybe you were looking at like a Rakuten, or you were looking at some of the other global affiliate platform players, and you went, that's great. That's awesome that they've got this technology and that they maybe have evangelized affiliate marketing and they've put their stamp of approval on this, that this is a legitimate non-spammy channel. But we think we can create something that
Hmm.
is maybe more market relevant, particularly for the ANZ region and particularly for SMBs, so that now
Hmm.
we're going to actually democratize access to this technology so that it's not just for the big boys and girls.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, it was that accessibility that we really wanted to put in front of people, and not just that you had to pay enormous amounts of money to get involved. And so when we started purely as a SaaS player as well, so that you were just paying for the commissions that you're paying out to affiliates and plus our sort of like variable performance fee that sits on top of that. So we wanted to make that really simple for people to understand as well. But like I said, it was that design element that really helped us in terms of the user interface. And of course, I'm biased, and I would say that I still think that we have one of the best out there. But also, coming from the experience that I had as an affiliate, we also understood those pain points that affiliates were experiencing in terms of getting paid, getting paid promptly as well, because cash flow was regularly the issue that I would have as an affiliate, because whilst I've got all this money sitting in my account, it was taking months for it to get paid out to me. And we really dug our heels in on payment terms and how quickly you have to pay. And so we started the network off like everybody had to prepay their accounts, and so that we could get money out to the affiliates faster, not having to wait on an invoice to be paid. And so that for us as well made affiliates a very large advocate for us, because we had their interests in mind. And that still stands even today. We have a dedicated affiliate or publisher team who takes their feedback and assists them and supports them as well. And not every network, surprisingly, has an affiliate team that actually works for the affiliates.
That's true. And I tell you, just for those that don't know, and I don't want to make any assumptions that everybody in the audience knows exactly what an affiliate network is, what it does, what an affiliate platform does, what role it fulfills, what gaps it plugs. There's three main components as I understand it, and you're the expert, so I'm sure you'll correct me if I'm wrong. You've got the affiliate partners, which are effectively,
Sure.
we've got affiliate partners, right? We've got partners who are generally publishers, and I think almost of affiliate marketing as the OG before influencer marketing came along. So before everybody became a social influencer and we're doing brand
Mm.
deals that way and doing brand advertising, they would say, for example, an influencer who is a subject matter expert on a topic or was super passionate about a specific topic would typically have their own website. They might have their own blog site, etc. And they're publishing primarily written content about a subject. Maybe they would embed a YouTube video in the page or whatever it might be, but typically they're writing some form of written content on their own property, their own web property. They're producing that content. They're generating an audience of their own that's interested in that. They're getting high rankings for those topics in the likes of Google. So Google's shoveling traffic their way because they're creating a home on the internet for this topic. They're creating lots of valuable, useful content around it. And then really you are helping to connect, your platform helps to connect those publishers with people who want to advertise to those publishers audience and paying them for the privilege of doing so. You're creating the plumbing and the conduit to connect those two parties together, and the obviously the advertisers paying the publisher for the right to publish, whether it be an ad, whether it be a coupon code, whatever it might be, whatever format of ad it might be. They're paying for the
Mhm.
privilege of doing that, and then you're clipping the ticket along the way. But in order to earn your keep, so to speak, you are providing the essential plumbing between the two, which tracks traffic that should be paid for because it's being driven to that website, and it is taking that traffic from the publisher, sending it to the brand's website to complete a purchase. You're tracking the transactions, you're tracking the commissions that are owed back to the publisher. You're doing deduplication if multiple affiliate
Mhm.
networks are claiming credit, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a fair bit of technical capability that you provide to run this whole engagement process, and also helping publishers to find advertisers and vice versa. So you're almost, I think of you as like an affiliate marketplace in a way, but also providing lots of essential plumbing along the way.
Mm. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So, how you described it is it. We are that conduit between these parties who want to be able to connect with each other. And so, we do provide literally marketplaces. So, here's a marketplace of the brands we work with and a marketplace of the affiliates that are on our network. And so, we connect those two, and putting them in front of each other is also, either the nexus or the conduit as well for creating content, because we have affiliates who have extremely large audiences, and they'll see an advertiser pop up on our network. And an example of that recently was an advertiser that sells exclusively like man cave type accessories. They've got arcade machines and arcade tabletops and that sort of thing. And so the affiliate saw that, and, oh, that's actually an interesting idea. I wonder if I should write some content around how to fit out the ultimate man cave on my blog. And they write content, they do some of their own research about what goes into building the ultimate man cave. And then they can also fill that content with a bit of these affiliate links. So, hey, if you're after an actual standalone arcade machine, here's where you can go and buy one. And so when they're sending that traffic off and somebody does buy an arcade machine, that affiliate gets their commission. And so, yeah, by even just being present on our marketplace, it has that sparks the idea for an affiliate as to, oh, this is a really interesting idea for content.
And I think it also it fulfills an essential gap in the sense that I might just have a general blog about lifestyle. Maybe it's lifestyles. I don't know. Let's say I'm writing about men's lifestyle, everything to do with men's lifestyles, whatever. And so my creative well might eventually run dry, right? And so sure, I could go to ChatGPT and maybe get some ideas and spark some thinking. But to your point, if I can start crafting content around what is likely to be interesting and attractive to somebody who's already selling stuff into that given market, then I have a much higher likelihood of having content that potentially resonates with both my audience, but also an advertiser. And to be fair, I think a lot of times people think of this as almost like a get rich quick scheme or something like that. And I definitely don't think it is. I also think that people that go to blog articles or are trying to do content online, I think that when you're searching for content, you actually want the links because you're going, man, this thing that they have an image of and that they've talked about is so friggin' cool. Where do I get it? Sure, I could try to do a Google search and try to track it down, maybe look for a name brand, whatever it might be. But how much easier and more convenient is it for me as the consumer of that content to be able to go directly to that product and buy it today if it sparks my interest? So it meets multiple goals, and it actually isn't a negative for the consumer of the content either.
No, that's right, exactly. The affiliates who write a lot of content and they monetize their content with affiliate links generally disclose that as well. But it costs money to run a website, and someone is trying to make a living as well. And so that's how they make their living. We all want to get some sort of a return for the time that we put into these things. And for some of these affiliates, which we're talking very large numbers that they earn, but it's because they spent years building a large audience as well. And they have either spread their wings a little more now since social media came into the equation, where they also have Facebook groups, they've got an Instagram following, they've got TikTok, and they've got all these things now that complement. But those are all just complementary as well, where they're just sending the traffic back to their website because that's still their monetization HQ, I suppose you could call it. Yeah, so it does have this fantastic potential for affiliates in whatever form they come in, but for the brands as well. Like it is a really cost-effective channel, because we're not talking like the channels that we've all become accustomed to in the past, where you're paying for eyes on the page or you're paying for clicks, those sorts of things, or impressions. It's actually about tangible sales. And so that's one of the things that I think was so great about affiliate marketing is you're not paying for eyes on the page, you're paying for actual tangible sales that are happening. So that's why I think we don't hear the term used as much these days. It used to just be referred to as performance-based marketing. So you only pay on performance. But yeah, nobody seems to use that term as much anymore.
Yeah, because I think the reason for that is because Google and Meta and latterly Amazon have monopolized that term performance marketing to specifically refer to pay-per-click actually on their platforms. And so it's a unique form of marketing, I think, affiliate marketing. And for you guys, that's a great segue into my next question, which is how did the rise of programmatic marketing, programmatic performance marketing, how did that impact your business model? Because as I understand it, and Grant, I'm sure you'll correct me if I'm wrong here, you can and do oftentimes make your inventory of publishers available to programmatic networks so that they can programmatically put placements on your publisher sites going through your plumbing. So it feels like programmatic in some ways could have been the death, so to speak, of traditional affiliate marketing platforms. But what it ended up being is just another outlet for your inventory for placements.
That's right, exactly. So it had really no effect. Actually, early days it had positive effects really on us, and because those programmatic guys generally to get reimbursed ended up just using the affiliate model in a performance basis as well. So they became affiliates themselves. And affiliates as well were looking at how they can monetize their websites, and the amount that they could earn, the potential ended up being higher using our inventory on their sites in terms of advertising, because some of them were, if they were making space available, the sort of money that we're talking here was like cents on the dollar in terms of what they were earning for these impressions and such. And some of them started doing like the A/B testing as well. What am I earning from this programmatic guy sending dynamically changing these ads or following the users around, customers around the internet? They were earning more from their affiliate advertising spaces. And because you're talking like 10% of a sale value they might be earning. And so one purchase was equal to tens of thousands, if not millions, of impressions that they might have been getting paid for. So therefore, they started switching out a lot more to affiliate. But like I said, those same guys who were doing the programmatic, we were in bed together as well. Just as we've been in bed with just about everyone you can imagine. Consumers will never know that we exist, but we are everywhere.
Love it. And you guys also became an essential source of inventory for retargeting and remarketing platforms like Criteo as well, didn't you? So really your inventory, we have
Yeah.
all these different types of ad placement models and ad placement technologies and platforms, but ultimately oftentimes we're chasing the same inventory, right? At the end of the day, we're chasing the same
Yeah.
places where we can place an ad. And so it feels you guys
Hmm.
became almost like the pool of inventory that the remarketers, the retargeters, could tap into and say, look, it's great that we can run the remarketing and retargeting. We can create the lookalike audiences, we can create the retargeting audiences, etc. But we still need to be able to have actual inventory to surface to our advertisers to send that to. And so it feels you guys have
Yeah.
fulfilled an essential part of the market, which is the supply side of the market.
That's right, because we'd already done a lot of the heavy lifting when it came to agreements and contracts and getting in front of a lot of these brands and advertisers. So they were already part of our marketplace. So it was easy for these retargeters to just piggyback off that inventory we already had, with obviously the advertiser or brand's permission to do for these retargeters. Yeah, since a lot of the cookie changes and privacy stuff, we don't see a lot of the retargeters as much anymore. But they did play an essential role in the beginning, and for them it just meant, yeah, there was this inventory. They didn't have to go out to each and every single advertiser or brand and try and strike up a deal, because we'd already done that. And I think we're about 900 advertisers on our books right now. And that's focusing purely just on the sort of the APAC market. We never went too far outside of our borders, and because we still felt that there's a great opportunity here. And this was our home market, one that we really want to focus on.
And how, as the industry, because you've been doing this for a long time now, speaking of those privacy changes, and also speaking about click fraud and brand protection, and I've watched as affiliate marketing has become, as it went into vogue, as it came into vogue, and as it became a very popular, well-known channel that brands could relatively easily tap into because you were connected to everything and everyone. Then all of a sudden brands started to think, geez, we need to protect our brand, we need to protect our customers' privacy, we need to do all these things that are outside of what you would
Hmm.
traditionally expect an affiliate marketing platform to provide for you, which is an open marketplace. But then all of a sudden now you're going, actually,
Hmm.
we've got to take on a whole bunch more responsibility than maybe what we did in the beginning, because brands are saying, well, that's great. Maybe I've got someone who's got a website that talks about sex toys or something like that or whatever. And now I'm saying, look,
Hmm.
I want to be in more granular control of where my advertising shows, because I want to be very specific and very particular about where my brand is seen and where my ads are seen and on what properties they're seen on, and around which types of content. And so it feels like advertisers have increasingly wanted more and more control over who they partner with and exactly the type of content they're shown in. So, for example, even the same
Hmm.
publisher, they might have certain content that is maybe more risque, and they might have more mainstream content that they publish both types. And the advertiser might say, look, I'm happy to be inside and embedded in your mainstream content, but I don't really want to be in your risque content. So let's make sure we have that happen. And I think that you guys
Hmm.
had to build more and more tooling over time to give advertisers more and more control over where their brand was exposed, right?
Thankfully for our channel, I mean, it is extremely accessible, customizable. So when it comes to the advertisers and who and which affiliates they want to work with, they have as little or as much control over that as they would like. And generally, it just comes down to hours in the day. Or they have an opinion that everyone is innocent until proven guilty. And so they'll say if the affiliate just does the right thing, we'll just assume they're going to continue to do the right thing until we see otherwise. So these affiliates will apply to a brand's program, and the brand can choose to decline them, or based on whatever criteria they've got in place, then maybe they just say, I just don't like your website and I don't want my brand on there. That's absolutely the brand's choice. And or they can accept them and let them go. And so we obviously track as much as we can the actual source of any of the referrals that they send, so that if the URL is different to what the advertiser approved, we'll flag that. And is this coming from an approved traffic source that's in their profile? And if not, then it generally will go to the affiliate and say, hey, what's going on with this traffic? So we are monitoring all of that type of thing. But it is so customizable and accessible, because these affiliates, you can email them, you can message them, and these brands can all work together as well. And so, but when it comes to privacy, affiliate is such a light touch marketing channel, really, because we only need very basic information in order to perform our duty as an affiliate network. We need to know like the total amount of what was sold. If you aren't going to send through the actual products and say and disclose which products, as long as we know the cart total, and we have, let's see, any discounts that are applied, we'll keep that information. That's all we really need to know. And so privacy-wise, it's so light touch. We don't want to know or need to know any customer information. We would prefer not to have that, because then that opens us up to PII and everything else. We don't want it. And we don't need it in order to do our job, in order to say, here's a sale, here's the commission for the affiliate.
And that raised a very good point, is that from a technical implementation perspective, it's also relatively light touch. Now, I've had to implement these platforms on a couple of different occasions, and there's a little bit of technical work that needs to be done there on the order success page, and the tracking links and everything else have to work properly. And there's a few different things, and there's a little bit of testing that has to be done before you actually launch your program. But why don't you help me better understand, and the audience better understand, kind of those technical steps, the technical hurdles that a merchant needs to do to get you onboarded onto their e-commerce platform, so that they can make the plumbing all work to make sure that they're paying out and they're getting their ads listed in the right place.
Sure. I guess the most basic explanation of it is, look, if you're able to put any Google Analytics or GTM type stuff on your website, you can probably put us on there too. So it's really just a copy and paste job. So somebody who does sign up, we'll give them, hey, here's what you copy and paste into your website. You'll have two places that you put this in. There'll be just on the general footer section of your website, where we can determine if somebody landed on the site. And then there's also some code that goes on the checkout page as well, because we're looking at those two things. We sent the traffic to you. Did it end up on the checkout page? Did it convert? And then it fires back to tell us what was sold and for how much. And so that's essentially what we do. The complexity over the years has come in simply because of a lot of the privacy stuff as well. So the way that the cookie, everybody demonized the cookie, but I think if you realize what it was there for, why it originally came out, you'd realize it was actually a vital part, remembering settings you have on a page so that you don't have to keep filling things out all the time. And so we couldn't use those anymore. That's not what cookies for tracking, or tracking for our purposes, not what they were originally intended for. So that was just discovered many years ago. Oh, we could use this for tracking. So nowadays, I think it can be even easier. Like I said, there is complexity, but the shopping carts have become very dominant, and certainly a few in Australia are the most dominant. I would say 50% of our network use Shopify. And so easy. Shopify is very popular. Yeah. So it's easy. It was accessible. Again, it was what we were after: easy, accessible, make it available to everyone. And so we have Shopify plugins too. So therefore, you can just install the plugin. We give you, here's your advertiser ID, put that into your Shopify plugin, and the process is now taken care of. And then before we set someone live, we just generally do a few tests as well, just to make sure, is the information coming through as expected? Are you only paying commissions out pre-GST for those of us in Australia? Because we don't take commissions or pay out commissions on the GST component. That's the government's money, none of ours to share around where we can avoid it. And also, are you paying out a different rate on new versus return customers? So some advertisers value them differently. We want to make sure all that's taken care of and what the customer expects, and then we can set it live. If everything's been tested, everything's coming through fine, then they go live. And so they'll go out to our database of affiliates. And so they will either choose to start promoting you or not. And that's the thing that sometimes we have to manage expectations is remember, this is not just a formula or an algorithm that sends you out. Affiliates are real people, real companies. And so it can take some time before they get started. And especially if you're new to the affiliate industry and they've never worked, no one's ever worked with you before, it might just take a time for that affiliate program to build up.
And especially if you don't have anybody dedicated to affiliate marketing in your business and you're expecting it just to be fire and forget, and you just list your name as a potential advertiser and then you don't do anything with that, and you don't do any outreach, you don't open up lines of communication, you really don't make any effort to build a network of partners.
Yeah,
And that's
that's
really,
right.
I think, if you want to be successful in affiliate marketing, at least as someone who has witnessed this program being built inside a business. I didn't run it and I didn't own affiliate marketing, but I witnessed it being built inside our business. From what I saw, the person who was managing our affiliate marketing internally, they were having regular calls with our publishing partners, regular conversations with them, and regular catch-ups with them,
Mhm.
and saying, and we were collaborating on content. We were willing to supply them additional collateral. There was all sorts of things that we could do to make the publisher's life easier, to make it easier for them to put out amazing content and put them in contact with people, experts in the industry, etc. There was definitely a sense that we didn't keep them at arm's length. They were an essential partner of our business, and it feels like you need to treat your affiliate partners that way if you want to have a successful program.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for mentioning that as well, because I think that is the part of this collaboration, this partnership that gets missed sometimes is that they are almost an extension of your sales team because that's what they're doing. They're selling for you. And so that is where sometimes we have to have these conversations, or we might get a complaint from an affiliate when one of the brands decides that, oh, we're going to halve our commissions that we pay to you. Just no rhyme or reason. We're just going to. And we try to get them to think about that. I get paying out commissions has to be sustainable for you long term. But if you went to one of your salespeople and said, "Hey, I just felt like halving your commissions, and that's what I'm going to do today," do you think they would be happy with that, or do you think they would be now even more motivated to sell for you? I don't think so. And so that I think can be missed sometimes with these affiliates is that because they seem faceless, they aren't. They are an extension of your sales team, and they're out there pushing to try and get traffic, or send you traffic, so that they can make money.
Hey team, I have a big favor to ask you. Please pause this episode and send the link of this episode to someone you know that you think would enjoy this content. Really appreciate you spreading the word. This is how we grow. We're not a Joe Rogan. We don't have big, massive advertising budgets, but we absolutely want to grow. We want to get the learnings from all of these episodes out to as wide of an audience as possible, and we need your help to do it. Thank you. And now back to your listening. If you can help
Yeah.
the publisher be more successful and be putting out more engaging, better, more fun, better detailed content, if you can help them do that and you can help support the process of doing that, then ultimately that's going to help you too, because it's likely to become more valuable content. There's going to be more traffic going to that content, which means there's a greater opportunity for people to click on your ad or your link and get more people to your website. So it feels like, and yes, there is the concern, and I've heard this voiced inside businesses before that say, look, if we help a publisher to produce this article or supply content or supply connections or introductions or whatever, then it's highly unlikely that in an article they're only going to be talking about us. So the reality is there's potentially other advertisers that they're linking out to, et cetera. So in some respects, maybe it's a little bit competitive. And are we helping to drive sales for one of our competitors? Well, the reality is if you're good at what you do and you have unique products and at least you're doing curation of your products and you have good prices, etc., the reality is you're going to always get your fair share of the market. And the reality is if you're not good enough to get your fair share of the market, then you should probably go and do something else anyway. So it's a non sequitur in the sense that I think if you can partner, you don't necessarily have to be the only advertiser on a piece of content to get benefit from it, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely not. And the affiliates are still motivated, like I said, by money and by the conversions. And also, if one advertiser selling essentially the same type of thing is converting better than you, there might be a reason for it. It might not be, it's not the fault of the affiliate. And that's the thing. Affiliates can't change the on-site conversion or do conversion rate optimization for you. If your site fundamentally cannot convert, the affiliate can do nothing to change that. All they're doing is sending you the traffic. So it's now up to you to convert that traffic into sales. And so whether that be whatever pricing levers or mechanisms you have, or your pricing structure, or just how the website is set up as well. Is it a nuisance website where every time you click on something, something's popping up on screen where people just get too frustrated and just leave? So yeah, the affiliate will send you the traffic. Now it's on to your job to convert that traffic.
And we see this a lot with single product dropship websites, for example, or a catalog of 5 products, and people are leveraging affiliate marketing to drive traffic. There's no trust marks on the site. There's no story on the website. There's not necessarily even the best pricing, maybe one picture, if any pictures at all, around a product. Not a lot of product detail on the product detail page. Literally zero trust, no brand, a logo that was made by ChatGPT. And then people wonder, and I see this all the time on Reddit. I see this all the time on Reddit. I just bang my head against the wall and I try to go in there and answer as many questions as I can to be helpful. But half the time they say, roast my website. And I go there and I go, why would I ever buy anything off of your website? You could be based anywhere in the world, and I'm 95% sure that if I bought through you, I would never see the money or the goods ever again. And so the reality is that a lot of these people that stand up these almost pop-up websites on Shopify, which is very easy to do, I can get a Shopify site up and running in an hour. And the reality is it won't necessarily be a good website and it won't necessarily be a great experience, but I can get the website up and running and transacting very quickly. And then if I basically try to funnel a whole bunch of traffic there, whether that's through PPC advertising or affiliates or whatever, and it doesn't convert, that's not on them, that's on me. And I need to start looking at why.
Yeah.
If I'm getting 1,000 visitors a day, but I'm getting 0 conversions or I'm getting only a handful, there's got to be something wrong here.
Oh, yeah. There definitely would be something wrong there, I would say. If you're getting so much traffic, but nothing is converting, it's like, how does it look? Because how a website looks and how it presents itself, it plays an important role. Because just from the first impression that we get of a site, can I trust this site? And there are many of those very single product websites that have popped up for the benefit of social media advertising. I see them pop up all the time nowadays, and they send you off somewhere and you're like, oh, this seemed like a really cool product. I think one I had recently was like a type of bag that you can put your shoes in to go inside the washing machine because it has all these bristles inside to clean your shoes. Oh, that's such a good idea because I recently stood in mud and I'd like to clean my shoes. And then you go up to the website and like, oh, I don't know if I want to give this site my credit card details. And only because I work in this industry as well, I'm a little more savvy to also understand that if I just take that product image and I throw it into AliExpress, what's going to come up? And then you see the exact product in there for only like $2 in comparison to the $40 that they were charging on this landing page.
Correct.
And I learned that one a while ago. But like I said, I'm probably one of the more savvy ones with this type of thing. I'm sure if I said this to my parents, they'd be like, what's this witchcraft you're talking about? But I know it because I've seen all of this. So we've seen all the tricks after 13 years. We've seen all of it. But one thing about those types of advertisers that might be wanting to get traffic, we do have some requirements when it comes to, let's say, being on Commission Factory, for example. So we do have quality checks and controls because we want to make sure that this is a long-term partnership. Are we going to get paid? Are our affiliates going to get paid? Those sorts of things. There are quality checks and requirements for getting started. And so it would generally be like we want to see a minimum amount of products that are on your site. I think it's probably about 20. How long have you been in business? And if it's probably less than 6 months, we'll probably say no, because 6 months isn't really enough time for you to have done a lot of A/B testing and work on your site to really know if you can convert, because we don't want the affiliates wasting their time sending traffic somewhere that doesn't convert either. We will ask, what's your conversion rate? And some of them will say, what do you mean? Oh dear. So there will probably be a rejection from us. So we do have some requirements that we put in place on accepting you as a brand, because we're trying to look at both parties as well. And our perception of being reputable would probably go down pretty fast if these pop-up stores were letting all of them on and then suddenly people aren't getting paid, or now that pop-up store is gone, even though they had maybe a 6 or 12-month agreement with us or something. And yeah, we're looking after our reputation as well. So yeah, there's definitely a criteria that must be met too.
Makes sense. You're in the curation game on both sides of the equation, right? And at the end of the day, you're playing matchmaker, and there has to be a match made in heaven, hopefully not hell. So that makes complete sense. Now, how has the rise and rise again of Amazon in Australia in particular impacted your business? Because I know that in the United States, for example, affiliate marketing through Amazon is just through the roof. It is a massive industry in its own right. It's insanity in America how many publishers are sending people off to their Amazon affiliate lists. It's just crazy. And Amazon was very late to the game in Australia. eBay forever dominated the market there,
Yeah.
but Amazon has grown very fast, particularly in the last 5 years, to massive warehouses in Sydney and Melbourne, and building more actually, and now opening that up to the New Zealand market as well for customers to be able to buy off of Amazon Australia very
Hmm.
easily and seamlessly with free freight in many instances. And so, how has
Hmm.
them entering the market and doing very well finally, has that impacted you guys at all, that people are saying now we're going to shift our budget from affiliate marketing through you to Amazon affiliates, or your advertisers or publishers even potentially moving away and doing more business with Amazon? Has that impacted you at all?
I guess the short answer is no. And they were so late. And that was one of the interesting things with them. They were so late to this market. And even then, they were there, they ramped up pretty slow. They had the one warehouse. And so it ramped up really slowly. But also, they haven't necessarily done themselves any favors by their treatment of affiliates, because just again, at a whim, they just cut the Amazon Associates commissions in half or even more. I think one of the recent ones was more like 75% of it dropped. And so then we see this mass exodus of affiliates who may have been promoting on Amazon to now find a like for supplier, let's say on a network like ours, because it said, okay, fine, if you're not going to pay me for this traffic anymore, I'm going to send it somewhere else. And they did that. And they've done that multiple times. I think even in the US or the UK, I can't remember which one it was, but I think one of the networks even brought out like a tool to help you switch your links for certain products because Amazon was cutting commissions. And so,
Wow.
hey, here's where you can send the traffic to instead. And so they're not necessarily going to do themselves any favors there, which is interesting because Amazon and affiliates have had a very long-standing relationship, because it was Amazon Associates was one of the first affiliate programs in the world, besides obviously I think CD Now back in the day, and some of the porn sites as well, because the porn industry there was at the forefront of whatever is new, right?
Everything.
They always have been, and that's right. And they dictate everything, whether it be Betamax versus VHS and Blu-ray versus HD DVD. Whatever the porn industry does becomes the norm.
The
And
standard.
yeah, so the online pornography industry, they were the first. I think really the first companies to take advantage of affiliate marketing, but Amazon was really like the first like large scale affiliate program. So they've been doing it forever. And it is interesting that they are devaluing what the affiliates do for them. And it was maybe a couple of years ago now, and I don't know if those numbers have changed, but I think the Amazon Associates made up something like 40% of Amazon's revenue because of what was being sent, because it was so prolific.
Mm.
And yeah, so it will come down to the treatment of their affiliates. But we did see that here in Australia. I think it was June last year when they did a massive cut to their commission rates. And so affiliate team here got this huge influx of like requests for people signing up to us. Do you have an advertiser that sells these sorts of products? And yes, we do. You can just find them in the marketplace. Just do a search. You'll find them there. And so we did have an influx. So I can't say that Amazon has negatively impacted us, because I think Australians still like the choice. And when we're talking about the coffee shops and things earlier, they still like to support a local. And there are now questions coming through because you got the Temus and those sorts of guys, these cheap products. Amazon's getting a bit of that reputation as well, where it's like low quality stuff is
Yeah.
coming through.
Rub it.
And so now people are saying, well, if I'm going to give my credit card details, I prefer to get a product that would last more than a week.
Makes complete sense. And how do you guys make
Yes,
your money? You guys facilitate this transaction like a marketplace, and obviously there's a percentage, there's a commission fee that gets paid to the publisher, and I'm guessing
Mhm.
you just take a straight percentage of whatever's getting paid to them. You take a percentage for providing the conduit and connection.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so that would be one of our main sources of income when it comes to that sort of variable fee. And when it started off, or when we were first sort of selling this into people, it was also showing that we had this vested interest in their success. Because if your affiliate program didn't work, we weren't getting paid either. And we wanted to make that one clear. So our fee it's a percent of a percent. Let's say, for example, if you're paying an affiliate 10% commission on everything they sell for you, we would add 2.5 or roundabouts. That figure is negotiable depending on like the sort of volume that we might be anticipating. So therefore, your total cost for a $100 sale, you'll be paying out $12.50. That includes the affiliate's commission and our clip on that too. That was our primary source of income or revenue for many years. One of the things that we changed very recently was going back to our roots of being a bit more of a SaaS platform, because that's how we started. We ended up bringing in managed services at some point, maybe about 2015, 2016, because the Australian market just wasn't mature enough yet. And we were getting requests, oh, can you manage my program for me? Because remember, we're working with these SMBs. The person who might have bought into affiliate marketing and signed the agreement with us was also the owner of the business. And we only have so many hours in the day, right? So they were either saying, I'm willing to pay for someone to please just take care of my affiliate program. You give us your conditions, like what sort of affiliates you want to work with and all that sort of thing. And then we have account managers in here who take care of it for you. And then you can either log in, see what your results are like, or if you're really busy, then how about a weekly check-in and we'll just give you a performance update and go through a few things. We had those things all in one. And so that was either a larger expense. The platform and the managed services it was one thing that you were paying for. And so so we end up bringing in the monthly fee component for that, which at that time you had to have the service. And what we did last year was we actually now started to unbundle all of that. And so now we were trying to say, okay, looking at SaaS methodologies and how all this works, how do we want to present this? And we wanted it to be a bit more customizable, where someone might say, I only want the most basic, level of tech. I want to be able to just track everything. But I really want someone to manage it for me. And so that would be a separate thing. So you can either just access the platform starting, I think about like $200 a month, that sort of area, and you can just do it yourself, or you can add on a service component, and then you choose the length of that. And then there were some who like, I don't want service because I don't have the funds for it, but I would love some help around the last quarter of the year. And so then we also introduced, like, do you want just like a golden quarter package, which is just the November, December, January, or actually October, November, December, because we've got Halloween and all that sort of stuff there too. So so some of them saying, I would just love managed services for 3 months to help me get through Halloween, Thanksgiving, Cyber Weekend, the Black Friday, Christmas, and then if you're like Boxing Day sales and all that sort of stuff. So therefore they were getting some assistance, because it's a busy time for retailers. And their focus is all on their business. So we started trying to roll this out last year, and it seems to have gone really well, because now, like I said, we unbundled these things. So do you just want the platform? Yes. Okay. And then if you want service, we have different levels of that. Do you just want us to check in and help you out a bit? Or do you want us to do everything for you? And that scales. And then, if they get to a point where they say, you know what, we've got this, or we've got someone internally who's our marketer, but they've also got experience in affiliate marketing, so they're going to take it over. Therefore, they can scale back that service component and just keep the tech. And so I think that they appreciated that, because, like I said, it was either one price and service was mandatory once upon a time. So now it's like you just pick and choose what you want.
Love it. Love the flexibility and democratization of access to the technology. That's awesome. And if you were to look out over the next 18 months, is there anything that customers are asking for that you don't do yet today? Or is there anything that you're looking at that you say, hey, we'd love to be able to do this too, that we're thinking of adding to our platform? Or are you pretty much comfortable with where the tech's at today? And you're like, hey, don't fix it if it ain't broken.
I mean, if I hesitate to mention too much, because everyone has heard AI to death right now, right? So it's all we're hearing about. But there is something in there that I want to see us introduce to the platform. It's to give more of an explanation of the why, like why you see a certain thing, or to explain data. And so that's currently what we're running some internal proof of concepts on. So we're using using AI to do this, so that say, okay, we sit on mountains of data. We have loads of this stuff. And it's now just trying to say, how can we free the data so that anyone can ask questions of it in a natural language way, right? Because downloading spreadsheets and all that sort of thing, it's fine. Then you have to also try and work out what's the Excel formula to try and get this particular information I'm after. And so for us, the utopia of the data we have is just so that these advertisers and affiliates as well can just ask a question of the data, like, who was my best performing affiliate, which of my top 20 affiliates produces the most new customers to my affiliate program, to my website, so that then they might say, those ones, I want to pay them a higher commission because they bring me lots and lots of new customers. And whilst that information is there, it's in tables, you can pivot things, but to actually just ask the AI this information just to get the data right there. So that for us is, I think, going to be really key. And we've been playing with AI for some time now, and just internally, just to help us write a strongly worded letter if we needed to. But now it's okay. Now that we've seen the application of AI, what can we do with this that is meaningful to our customers? Because, everyone's dabbling in AI, right? And obviously this would maybe date the podcast, but Apple just announcing like the Apple Intelligence integration into their next iOS.
It looks bloody impressive,
and that,
to be honest.
I think, is a great thing, because it does. It looks really good. And I'm looking at it and saying, okay, it's no longer just dabbling. It's now actually integrating AI in a meaningful way into people's lives that can be helpful. So whilst we're not changing lives or anything here, really, still, it's if we can bring this AI in to actually help someone make better data-driven decisions with their affiliate program, I think that is going to be really key for us. And so that's where I'm pushing. And whilst I was the original designer of the platform, and my role is very shifted, very operational and revenue driven now, I still have a lot of oversight in the product side of the business. And so when I see something, I think this is amazing, we should really get into this, I still have a tendency to steamroll my development team and say, everything else you're throwing out, I want you to focus on this. So maybe I don't just wear turtlenecks just for the sake of it. I want to be the next Steve Jobs, right?
Love it. I love the product vision side of things too. At the end of the day, if you don't stay current, it's pretty easy to be marginalized pretty quick by new tech. So definitely staying current is a big deal. And I'm having lots of conversations with clients right now about how they can integrate AI meaningfully into their technology stack. That is a conversation I'm having so regularly. We're looking at actually even starting a new AI specific business for just consulting around that and delivering around that, because it's such a frequent request now that not just from the brand side, but from technology vendor side, they're going, hey, we know if we don't get AI somehow into our technology, we ain't going to get any more VC funding. So, but how can we do this in a way that actually matters to our customers as opposed to just text the AI box? And that's a real big conversation that's happening right now. So I think you've hit the nail absolutely squarely on the head. Now, Zane, as we come down to the end of our time together, man, an hour is absolutely blown by. I've loved the conversation. It's been great. And now's where I get to flip the script. I get to turn the microphone over to you and let you ask me one question, any question you like. It can be personal or professional. Zane McIntyre from Commission Factory, what is your question for me today?
Let's see. Maybe it would be kind of self-serving. And so I would like to understand from what, the people that you talk to, out of the vendors of shopping cart software, do you see anybody coming up the ranks that could take the crown from our friends at Shopify, or do you see a trend in shopping cart software that you think has legs?
Yeah, look, I think from the B2C and D2C world, I think Shopify is going to continue to increase its dominance for the foreseeable future. I think that the platforms that, for all the talk about headless and mock and everything else, I know that it's in excess of 95% of deployments are still monolithic in nature. And I think that we will eventually get to a place where AR and VR are a lot more common than they are today, although we had a stumble with Web3 and implosion of crypto didn't help, and FTX didn't help, and everything else, and everybody put the brakes on AR and VR, and they decided to dump all their money into AI instead. And I think that from an interface perspective, there's going to be a sea change that happens. I don't have my finger on when it will happen, but I can see a time in the not too distant future that when I go to an e-commerce website, I'm actually conversing with a concierge, where literally I get there and there's no categories, there is no search bar. I'm literally conversing with an agent, and I ask questions and I tell them what I'm looking for, and then they present. It'll basically be a search and merch platform with a conversational AI over the top of it, and then it will just present me to the products that I'm actually looking for, pre-filtered with all the attributes and everything that I'm looking for in products. And I just see a time where, because as much as I love e-commerce, and look, I've built a 24-year career in this industry, so I'd never slate our industry. But even Shopify and even the most modern e-commerce platforms on the planet, they are still largely an online mail order catalog. We've basically taken the old Sears and Roebuck mail order catalog, and we've digitalized that. We've put it online. We've automated the digital payments, and that's effectively where we stopped. And I just think that paradigm is a little bit broken. And I think that whole home category, product, cart, checkout model, I think there's just still so much friction in that model, even with modern search and merge technology, even with dynamic categorization, even with all the amazing things that we have today available in our technology stacks. I just think the basic interface of how we interface with technology is just, and I've said this before on the podcast, I can't understand why I can't log into Xero and my accounting software and talk to it and tell it, do this. This is, I want to reconcile. Cool. Take me to the reconcile screen, reconcile that with that. Why do I have to navigate around? And why do I have to have bookmark certain navigation links? And like, why do I have to do this? Why can't I just tell my software what to do and have a conversation with it? And if it's got questions, it needs to ask me those questions in an intelligent way. And I think we're on the cusp, especially with ChatGPT 4.0. I think that multimodal AI is getting us very rapidly closer to truly interactive stream of thought type of conversation with AI. And I would like to think that is very shortly going to have a dramatic impact on software interfaces.
God, I hope so. Yeah, I use Xero too. It would be so much easier if I could just tell it what I want to do, because I always find myself having to look up help articles like, I want to do this. How do I do this? I know what I want to do, but I just don't know where the option is for me to do that.
I do it all the time. I literally probably spend...
That would be amazing.
I spend like an hour a month in bloody Xero help. And especially with credit notes, I find that those are the real tricky ones of how to reconcile credit notes. That's an absolute mare.
Ah, yes. Yes, yes, that's true. That's true. Yeah, no, I remember those. I'm glad I have a finance department, but
yeah, exactly. It would be nice to know what's happening behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
Listen, Zane, this has been a fantastic conversation. I've really enjoyed our time together. You're clearly a switched on fellow. If people want to get a hold of you, I will put a link to your LinkedIn profile and to your website in the show notes. But other than that, how do you like people to get a hold of you and have a chat about Commission Factory and about affiliate marketing in general?
Sure. Yeah, LinkedIn is definitely a great place to start. I do actually monitor it. I think that's a great place to start. Obviously, if they want to visit our website, they can get a better sense of it. I think we showcase a couple of brands, have some testimonials and all that sort of thing on there if they want to delve into it a little bit further. But yeah, absolutely with LinkedIn, I will respond. I may not be your sales representative, and I have a team for that, but I will certainly point you in the right direction.
That's amazing. Listen, mate, I really appreciate you spending the time with me today, and I can't wait to speak to you again soon.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for that. No, I've certainly enjoyed the time. And if there are any Aussies who are listening to this, by all means, like I said, reach out. But we also have our inaugural think tank event coming up in August. So all of our affiliates and advertisers are all going to be there. So yeah, the first one we've ever held. Looking forward to it because we work digitally. So if we have an opportunity to meet some of these people face to face, we always really enjoy that.
Oh, me too, man. I'm so glad the world is opening back up again. I've been going to conferences now for the last year and a bit, and oh my goodness, does it feel good to be back in person again. I don't want to go back to the bad old days when we can't catch up in person as humans together again and have a few beers together. So again, thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to catching up with you at some point, hopefully in Sydney as well. That would be fantastic. Yes, let me know when you're in town. Are you a B2B or D2C e-commerce merchant? Then head over to greenwoodconsulting.net to learn how we can help you scale your business.